Okay, here's try one at a operation manual for this little beauty here. This is the, I'm going to call this the SIU throttle controller. Okay, so anyhow, we'll start off with the unit off. Good place to start. And then I'm going to assume that you have everything wired at first here. Well, I'll go through that really quick. Okay. So right here I have ground connected here. Just I have a little wire on this so I can get into it. I'm not using the resistor. I'm just using this as a piece of wire to go into the terminals. And now you can connect the power to either this terminal, plus on the top, minus on the bottom, or this terminal, plus on the top, minus on the bottom, but not both. And again, I have all this written down in instructions that I will send to you also, so you have both versions of this in video and in text. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, not quite yet. I'm not going to connect the power yet. And then I'm going to go through, okay, here I have the pot, your throttle connector, where you're going to put a potentiometer on. Now, this is just a crazy Franken connector that I found lying around. You can probably just use one of your 3-pin servo connectors and make up a cable for your pot with that. But all you need to do is just connect your ground pin, which is the bottom one. Well, I mean, obviously this one's already plugged in, but on the correct terminal this one's plugged in on, which is AX3, the fourth one in on this left terminal strip over here. It looks just like these. It's just that it's the fourth one in on the first terminal strip here. Okay, so then the bottom terminal here is ground. The middle one is a precision 5-volt supply, and the top one is a signal input line. So that means that like the bottom one you connect to one side of just the resistor in your 1 kilo ohm potentiometer, and then the top one you would connect to the other side of the resistor in your 1 kilo ohm potentiometer, and then the middle one you would connect to the wiper, which is normally the middle pin on your 1 kilo ohm potentiometer. I say that multiple times because I've already figured out that that's the right thing to do for the current consumption and how much this board can put out on its power supply and that kind of stuff. Okay, and then over here, that's all the way on the end here on pin 15, or pin set 15, I guess that would be. That's where you're going to plug your servos in. In this case, I only have one servo, but for you, I know you have a whole bunch of servos. So what you would do is separately connect together your 6 volts, your ground, your 6 volts and your grounds. Like you common all of your grounds from your servos together and run those back to a common point, not on the frame, at least not individually to the frame, but like, run all the wires back to a common point and then you can frame ground those. And then the same with the 6-volt wires, common all those up and run them back to your 6-volt power supply. Unless you only have one servo, don't run the 6-volt power through this board. It'll be too much and it'll fry the board. But, okay, so then on your signal wire, that one you can common up all your servos and run it straight into this board. I don't suggest using it with more than 6 engines, but if you have more than 6 engines, then I can walk you through how to build an emitter follower amplifier for that, so you can run as many as you want. Okay, I think that does it for the normal connection, so I'm going to go ahead and fire this up. Okay, now, see there's 3 buttons on it. I hope you can read them, but if you can't, the left one's A, the middle one's B, the right one's C. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and walk you through the calibration process. So, just like its bigger brother, I've actually improved on the algorithm. This one's a little bit better. It has an extra feature that I wish the other one had now. But all of the calibration routines are all built into this board, and you don't need a laptop for anything. You don't need external software of any kind, and there's no guesswork, so pretty nice. So what you're going to do is make sure you have your pot and your servos connected and ready to go, and hold down this A button to go into the mode select. You'll hear a beep. Okay, now all the lights are off, which means that when I hit A now to confirm my selection, I would go to mode 0, which is where I was. That's just like normal, just reads the battery voltage and does the servo servo output. It just reads the potentiometer, performs all of the transformations, and then outputs to the servo. Okay, but I don't want to do that. I want to go to mode 1, which is the throttle calibration. So C increases the mode and B decreases it. So obviously I'm at 0. So if I hit B, it doesn't do anything because I can't go any lower. If I hit C, you'll see first it goes to mode 1, which is throttle calibration. And if I mess up and I go too far, that would be mode 2. And I can hit B to go back down 1 mode, and that would be to C. Or if I really didn't want to do anything, I can go down 1 more, and that gets me back to mode 0. And if I hit A from there, I would go right back to just normal battery monitor and output to the servos. But I do want to calibrate. So I am going to go hit C. That'll get me into the throttle calibration, which is where I'm going to calibrate the input from the throttle potentiometer to the board. So I want to do that, so I'm going to hit A. That puts me in throttle cal mode. You'll notice that just a random LED, C in this case, is on even though I'm in throttle calibration mode. Normally it would read where my potentiometer is, but right now if I turn it, you can see it's not changing at all because my calibration isn't right for this. So I need to do a calibration. To do that, I'm going to go ahead and hit C. Okay, now frame rate's not high enough so you can't tell, but the lights are blinking. And all I have to do now is go take my potentiometer, and I might just put my camera down for this, but run the potentiometer all the way through its range, back and forth. Let me see if I can set this down. Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to take the potentiometer and run it all the way up, all the way down, just a few times. Okay? Now, the next thing that you do, when you're done with running the servo up and down through its range, running the potentiometer up and down through its range several times, you're going to hit B to confirm the calibration. You'll hear a beep when it finishes building the calibration and then storing it to the memory. So now if you watch the LEDs on there, when I run this through its range, you'll see that it goes through the complete range. It may kind of make sense for how it's displaying it. It goes from A, B, 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 C, C for, increasing in value. So I'll just do that one more time here. So I run that through its range. You can see it move there. Okay, so I'm going to leave it in the middle just for fun. And now I'm done looking at the throttle range, so I'm just going to hit A to go out of this mode. And then it takes me back to normal operating mode where it just shows the battery voltage on here and just does the normal output to the servos. Okay, now if I wanted to go back and just view what the throttle output was, you could probably guess this out already, but I can just hang on to that, go back to throttle cal mode, and now if I don't hit if I don't hit C that I want to calibrate, then I can just run through and see what my throttle input looks like. Good for if you think your potentiometer is broken or something like that. Okay, now let's say that I accidentally hit C, I wanted to calibrate. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to calibrate. I'm a great actor, right? No. Anyhow, so then I just hit A without hitting B, and that cancels it. So I didn't change my throttle calibration at all there. Okay, now we want to calibrate the servo output. So what this is going to do is we're going to set where we want the full throttle position to be and the minimum throttle position to be. And then what will happen is the software will build a calibration so that as the throttle value increases, the servo will move linearly from the minimum throttle position to the full throttle position. Okay? Now, the nice thing about this is that the minimum throttle position, well, I'll get to that in a minute, but anyhow, so it just moves from the minimum to the maximum as the throttle values increase. And again, remember, if you want to look at your throttle values, you can just go back in the throttle calibration, and as the lights go from A towards C, the value is increasing. Just a note. Okay, so now we're going to do the servo calibration. So we'll hit A here to go into mode select. Servo calibration is mode 2, so I'm going to hit C once, C twice. Now I'm going to go into servo calibration. So I'm going to hit A. Now, this will also display the position of the servo with B, or this will display the position of the servo, not the position of the throttle. So B would be the middle of the range, and then going towards A would be moving to the left, and going towards C would be moving to